Legos are fun and also cool. You can build a city and come up with a rule. No one can come in. Be the king and make a store for people to come by. Or a Lego home for friends to visit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was 8 years old the first time I created something. I was yay high, very energetic, violently dyslexic, but I was tasked with writing a poem, which I just recited for you all. As you can see, it was a simple 5-line poem about one of my passions, Legos. Little did I know, this poem would actually go on to be published in a local creative writing journal. Now, there's nothing significant about this. Most of us, when we were younger, we created some form of art, would proudly show our parents who would display this on the fridge. However, I found this poem to be significant because I created it, which helped this publisher create a larger body of work, which created a sense of culture and community. However small this poem was, it was proof of my existence. And it revolved around creating something. I was never one of those kids who knew what he wanted to be when he was going to grow up. But what I did know is that creation sustains the soul. And I firmly believe that it's imperative to the human experience that we all create. In recent years, the proliferation of the access to digital media has made consumption a purpose instead of a pastime. We've all become vacuums of media, entertainment, and opinions. We're constantly entertained, but we're never sustained. This has diluted our ability to discern between consumption for rest and betterment and consumption for consumption's sake. We were built for more. What drives success? What pushes life forward? What accelerates innovation is not when we consume, but when we create. Top scholars and the World Health Organization have identified that creation not only leads to an increase in neuroplasticity, but a reduction in anxiety and depression. Creation brings us closer to each other and to a better understanding of oneself. I would also argue that creation ties us to the divine. The first actions of God or supreme beings across all theologies is that they create. When we create, we mimic a piece of that. Now, I've been talking an awful lot about creation. Does this mean we're all called to be sculptors and poets? Not at all. Throughout my life, I've engaged in a myriad of entrepreneurial endeavors as well as musical endeavors. I've renovated and built several houses in the Shenandoah Valley, helped my friends start their businesses, started my business, my on-campus thrift store here on campus, and I've primarily engaged in musical endeavors, starting my 2 bands here on campus. What I've learned through my exposure creating these different businesses and experiences is that there are 3 primary categories in which our creations can manifest. These categories are through what we do, who we love, and what we love to do. These aspects exist in all of our lives that we can impact no matter our disposition. For me, what we do is simply creating value from our resources. I've always been naturally entrepreneurial, which is oriented towards creation. But I want you all to reflect, why do you do what you do? I found joy through my jobs because I was able to provide an experience for other people while also gaining monetary value. Now, most people work a job in order to gain money, which is used to provide for themselves or their family, which is extraordinarily noble. But the greatest tragedy of our modern life is that we've compartmentalized too much of our productive life, such that creation is segregated into one box and what we do into another. This divorce has led to 1 in 5 Americans feeling that they make no impact through their work. How do we change this? Through creating through what we do, through being able to express ourselves. For example, it's kind of a wacky example. There is a road worker from my hometown who has the simple task of just twisting a sign back and forth to indicate for oncoming traffic. However, no matter what time of day, he's always dancing and have his biggest smile on his face, such that when you drive by him, you can't help but say, hell yeah, it's road sign guy, back at it again. He creates positivity through his somewhat seemingly menial task, which fosters positivity for himself and those around him, which is what I want to discuss next. Who we love. Our relationships are some of the most important things in our life, not just from a strictly professional development standpoint, but a deeply emotional and psychological level as well. I've been blessed to have amazing friends and a family who I'm nothing but the manifestation of their love and support. But I've also played an active role in creating and facilitating those relationships. I want you all to reflect on the most important relationship in your life. That was made possible because you and that other party created that together. I recently traveled back from Morocco and Spain and Peru like 5 days ago, and I've fallen in love with the concept of philoxenia, which is the love of strangers. All the conversations I had in airplanes, concerts, conferences, and cafes may seem to dissipate into the wind, but all these relationships and conversations matter because they bring us closer to each other, and they make the world a smaller place. I had an internship with an insurance company a couple summers ago, where my boss realized that any problem she had, I knew somebody, whether it be a past colleague or a friend who could help her with her problem. My role literally pivoted from me just making cold calls all day to just connecting my boss with the people that I knew. This just gives us a glimpse into the power of maintaining and creating relationships. Now finally, one of the most common ways in which we can manifest creation is through our passions or what we love to do. I love talking to people about what they're passionate about because not only do they light with such a pure sense of joy, but I also get to learn about the love and nuance in everyday things around us. I once had an hour-long conversation with somebody who educated me on the exciting world of marble racing, which I didn't know that was actually a sport, but it is. Our passions tie us closer to each other and a better understanding of our preferences. For anyone who doesn't know me, I love music. Talking about it, playing it in my bands, going to concerts, I believe that it transcends language and borders. When I created my 2 bands here on campus, not only was I able to create experiences for everybody in the audience, but for myself on stage, which are memories and moments that I will carry and cherish for the rest of my life. I've been talking an awful lot about creation, especially through the context of what we do, who we love, and what we love to do. Through the success of my thrift store and my bands, it made me realize a crucial pattern. My thrift store reflects my passions for thrifting, sustainability, and affordability, while facilitating relationships with friends and colleagues alike, and I gain monetary value. Similar with my bands. I love music, I play with people I care about, and I get paid to do so. This is when I realized that when we create such that what we do, who we love, and what we love to do are in union with each other, we achieve fulfillment. Or as my friends and I have called, the Trinity of Human Flourishing. This is when we are provided with material and spiritual wealth, while providing others with an experience or a service that facilitates relationships for both parties. What I'm asking you all to do is to ruthlessly create, and to not cast judgments upon what you make. The first words that you all heard tonight were from a poem that I penned when I was 8 years old. We're all called to make, to be those leaders of change. What I want to leave you all with tonight is a question. The answer is going to be different for each and every one of you. That question is, how can we do what we love with the people we love? And if you're having trouble finding the answer to this, or it does not exist, it's imperative that you create this. Thank you.